chances to win sweepstakes, plus the convenience of online banking and our mobile app. Our members also help us give back through grants, scholarships, random acts of kindness, and more. Thousands of Arizonans have already joined Arizona's largest credit union, Desert Financial, located inside the Payson Walmart.
And good Wednesday morning. We are, as a matter of fact, right now at about 4 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock, and we're at 70 degrees today, and they're looking for a high of 70 degrees currently at the KRIM studios on West Frontier. We're just 59 degrees, so got a little bit of ways to warm up today, and we'll tell you more about weather here coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, right now it's time for KRIM's Community Spotlight, and with us this morning, our guest is Mariah Lance, and Mariah is with CASA. You know, that's that acronym that stands for Court Appointed Special Advocacy, Advocates rather, and she's the CASA coordinator for Northern Gila County. And first of all, Mariah, thanks for being with us this morning. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Now, I'm sure that there are, there's at least someone out there that's not familiar with CASA. I think what you folks do is amazing, but to give us just kind of the Reader's Digest condensed version, in a nutshell, what is CASA?
So the CASA program is a group of volunteers who advocate for the best interest of children that are involved in the dependency system. So through the juvenile courts, when a child can no longer remain safely in the home with their parents, they are placed in a foster home or a family home. We work to have a volunteer to speak up for that child, to speak up on their education, their medical, their special needs, anything that that child may need.
And, you know, it's one of the things we were talking about just before going on the air this morning is there's a huge need. And I know over the years, being involved in media here in RIM country, you know, on and off for, almost 40 years, this is a reoccurring topic. And the need is always tremendous. Again, these are kids that are no longer in their original home situation because for one reason or another that was deemed to be a threat to them one way or the other. And now they need an adult to speak up on their behalf and look out for their best interest on a variety of different levels. But the needs are huge. I mean, roughly, how many were you saying how many kids need a CASA volunteer right now?
Right now, just in Gila County alone, we have over 130 kids that don't have a CASA assigned to them.
That do not have a CASA assigned to them?
Correct.
Wow. And typically, how many kids does a CASA typically take care of?
The average is 2 kids.
Right. And we're not talking about a huge amount of time that you're expected to expend every month, right?
Correct. So the average CASA spends about 15 to 20 hours per case.
Right.
And that's just each month. A lot of that time is getting to know the kids and meeting with the kids. Sometimes they take them out for ice cream, go to the park. The rest of the time is really investigating, learning about the case, seeing what the kids need, working with Southwest Behavioral Health, working with the school districts to make sure that the kids have everything they need.
Right. And you talk about, you're wanting to give your time towards, a meaningful endeavor. I mean, here are some kids that are truly at risk and some of these in some very tragic ways. And obviously we can't talk about specifics on the radio here, but, if you did hear the specifics, it's stuff that would just, tend to want to rip your heart out. And you can make a huge difference in the life of these kids by just donating a little bit of your time. Now, is there one particular type of person that you're looking for as a CASA volunteer?
Nope. Anybody who is over the age of 21 and able to pass a background check qualifies.
Right. And when you say pass a background check, I mean, it's your typical FBI background check. I mean, as long as you haven't, been in the pokey for, bad things, you're probably more than qualified.
Yeah. So the main thing that they're looking for is to make sure that there's no recent felony charges or any past child abuse,
right,
neglect, or anything against a child.
Got to make sure that the people that they're going to be allowing to be a volunteer to help these children actually will be helping. That makes sense. And again, not a huge time commitment, but the needs are profound. Now, what happens if you don't have enough CASA volunteers? Then there's a lot of these kids that are just slipping between the cracks.
Yeah, so those kids, unfortunately, when there's no CASA volunteer assigned to their case, they're missing that voice in the courtroom. They're missing that additional person on their team who can really get in there and understand the child and their specific needs and really understand how the whole dependency process is affecting them and how to best support them. The CASA volunteer role is unique in that they provide an additional perspective to the courts for the courts to make a decision on how to move forward in the case.
Right. And, the other thing that I think people might be questioning in their minds right now when they hear us talk about this is, they must be looking for a certain type of person with a lot of prior training and things like that. And actually, you provide all the training necessary for someone to do this. The main thing you're looking for is an empathetic heart that just wants to make a difference in a kid's life.
That's right. So there's no specific background, education, or experience required. We provide all the training initially before you ever get assigned a case, and then we provide ongoing training and support throughout the time that somebody is with our program.
What is it? How much time does it typically take to go through the training to be a CASA volunteer?
So the initial training we do is a CASA Advocacy Academy, and it's 30 hours.
30 hours, okay. And that, again, imagine just gives you everything, because there's probably a lot of things that you don't really think about until you go through this, but once you hear some of this, it's like, well, gosh, that makes sense, but I hadn't thought about that. Now, is there any particular kind of past education or experience that's required in any way?
Nope, you don't even have to have a high school diploma.
Wow. So, I mean, it really is just having a heart of compassion for the needs of these kids and being willing to stand in the gap on their behalf.
That's what we're looking for.
And now, again, for people that aren't really familiar with this, in a nutshell, what are the main responsibilities of a CASA volunteer?
So the main responsibilities of the CASA volunteer are to check in with the child at least once a month, make sure that child or children have everything that they need. If there's anything missing, whether it's clothing or maybe they need some additional hygiene products, maybe they're struggling in school, the CASA volunteer can actually reach out to local supports and state supports for foster kids and help meet those needs and ensure those gaps are filled. They write a court report whenever it's required and attend court on behalf of the child, and they become that voice for the child in the courtroom. They attend meetings with the child through behavioral health. They can meet with the teachers. They also attend meetings with the Department of Child Safety.
So there's really a lot of different ways that they can obtain the information that they need to be able to make the best possible decisions on these kids' behalf.
Yeah, so one of the unique aspects of being a CASA volunteer is you actually get an order from the court that you can take to any professional that works with the child, whether it's a dentist, a doctor, a counselor, and you can actually get copies of all of their records.
Right. Well, interesting. Now, I think it goes without saying, but we ought to say it anyway, that a CASA volunteer is really different from being an attorney or a case manager. It's much more on the level with the kid, right?
Correct. You also only work with 1 or 2 cases at a time. Most CASA volunteers have 1 case, so you really get to commit all of your time to that 1 case, to that specific family. DCS and the attorneys have multiple cases, so it can be very difficult for them to get personal and get as much information and really dig into it as a volunteer can.
I bet there's got to be times where in the past where someone has been a CASA volunteer working with a child who eventually grows up, becomes an adult, and looks back and sees the difference that volunteer made. And boy, talk about the whole thing coming full circle.
Yeah, so we have several volunteers here in Gila County who have been with the program for many years. Some have left and taken a break and come back. But a lot of those volunteers that have been here for a long time are still in contact with those kids that they advocated for that are now adults, and they get still life updates. They contact through Facebook, phone calls, emails, so they still get to be a part of that person's life for the rest of their life also.
And we can't reiterate enough the profound need in that there is a need for so many of these court-appointed special advocates for kids here. Far more of a need than there are people stepping up to volunteer for this. Again, it's not a huge time commitment. You don't have to have any prior special training. They provide you with the training, and it's really just a matter of having a heart for these kids who can't really speak for themselves, and I would imagine that's got to be, for the kid, it's got to be overwhelming when all of a sudden you're dealing with the court system and you're dealing with foster parents and all these different variables. They've been pulled out of perhaps some tumultuous environments, and I mean there's so many different variables there that these CASA volunteers talk about a huge bit of well-founded peace that could finally come into the equation. I mean that's just a huge, profound need.
It is, and that's one of the great things about a CASA volunteer being assigned to a case for these children is a lot of these kids during the course of the dependency move multiple times. So there are multiple foster homes, multiple school districts, multiple counselors. Once a CASA is assigned, that CASA stays with that child until permanency is achieved. So whether that's 6 months or 6 years, at least they have one steady person that they know they can rely on each month.
One of the things that with this last year, with the whole COVID-19 thing, that we've had a number of related reports in our newscasts on, is that a lot of these kids that might be classified as being at risk in their home environment suddenly aren't able to even go to school. Everyone has to stay at home, which would put them at even greater risk. And I would think that this has got to kind of exacerbate the challenges that these kids who depend on the CASA volunteers, and it's got to make it just that much more pronounced.
It has. We've definitely seen over this past year during the pandemic an increase in cases here in Gila County. More dependencies were filed last year. I believe it was a record number of dependencies in 1 year. A lot of these kids are being removed from homes, and once they get out of the home and they get a drug test, a lot of these kids are testing positive for different chemicals that are found in common drugs that are used by adults. Just because
it's not necessarily the kids themselves that are taking the drugs to get high, but they're just testing positive because they've been in that environment where the drugs are nearby.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of the other is true too at times, but that's another issue. But I mean that's tragic. So I mean a kid that's already at risk is now just that much more at risk, and could even be having physiological problems just because they're in close proximity to some of these really serious drugs that seem to be so pervasive now with fentanyl and some of these different things that are a lot of them manufactured synthetically and not really regulated by any stretch of the imagination. This talk about at risk, it doesn't get a whole lot riskier, I wouldn't think.
Correct.
So what, if someone wants to volunteer and they're thinking, hey, this sounds like a way that I could really make a difference without having to spend a whole lot of time. First of all, what do they do to sign up or to learn more?
So they can either call me. My office number is 928-474-7145. Or they can go to our website, which is casaofgilacounty.org.
Okay.
And there's a link on there for applications, or you can go on there. There's more information. There's some videos. There's all kinds of information on there if they want it. If they want to give me a call and give me their email address, I can also email additional information if that's easier.
Okay. And is there that you want to just have them call you to get that email address?
Yes.
Okay, easy enough. And again, that phone number, local number, 928 area code 474-7145. Now, you're focused just on northern Gila County. And
no.
Oh, you work also in southern Gila County as well.
So our program covers the entire county.
Right. Wow. And roughly how many kids are total in Gila County that are in need of CASA volunteers again?
A little over 130 right now.
Boy. So if we could just get 130 CASA volunteers to sign up today, problem solved.
Problem solved for the kids, maybe not for me.
Yeah, I hear you. No, but really, again, it's not a big time constraint that's placed on you. There's not a lot of vast amount of training that you have to go through. No prior education or experience needed. You just need to have a compassionate heart and want to make a difference in the life of kids. Got to pass the background check and all of that, and of course they'll get you up to speed with some of the the variables here, but and it sounds like from what you were saying, Mariah, that the vast majority of the time is spent, just getting to understand the needs and the challenges for that child, and then doing the research on, what can be done to help them and where different resources can be found. Is that basically, am I on target there?
You are, and myself and the other coordinator down in the Globe area are here to support our volunteers. So when they're not sure where to turn or how to help a child,
Right.
they can reach out to us, and we have a vast network, not just in Gila County, but statewide, that we can reach out to for different supports and resources.
Well, and the fact that, as you were mentioning, that, there can be so many different things, whether it's a need for, maybe it has to do with food, maybe it has to do with medical, maybe it has to do with clothing or whatever. I mean, you're really trying to look at all sides of what it takes to help this child through the situation that they're in.
Yeah, so a lot of times when these children are removed and they may get placed with a family member, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, and maybe they don't even have a bed for them to sleep in. That's something that as a CASA we can help that family obtain, is a new bed for the child, or back to school supplies is always a huge strain on so many people. And
Sure.
we do drives throughout the whole state, and we're able to get those supplies up here to Gila County for those kids.
And of course, you have the support mechanism so that as these court-appointed special advocates get their training and start moving forward helping kids, there's always, a kind of a safety net or a support, system, if you will, to be able to bring them the resources that they need to be able to help their child in need.
Yes.
Outstanding. And we hope you'll get involved. Again, you can find out a lot more by just going online to casaofgilacounty.org. And again, you can look for the link there for the applications to become a court-appointed special advocate. Of course, you can always call 474-7145 to find out more. And we only need 140 people to call and sign up today, so piece of cake. But that includes you out there, so make sure you get involved. The again, the amount of time per month, you're talking 15 hours, something like that, you said?
15 to 20 hours is the average. Sometimes it's
That's
not
per
even...
month, so we're talking really a minimal amount of time per week. I think most anybody should be able to hopefully fit a little bit of that into their schedule. Is there typically a certain type of or age group of person or anything like that it has been volunteering to be a CASA volunteer?
So when you do join the program, that's part of what we discuss at the very beginning before you even make that decision. If there's a specific age group, sex, whatever that may be, maybe you want a child who's only placed in a certain area. We do have volunteers that aren't in Gila County. Some of our volunteers are in Maricopa County and other counties, because our children, unfortunately, most of them cannot stay in Gila County.
Right. And so if you have a specific soft spot in your heart for a particular age group, gender, or whatever, or maybe you have a particular aversion to a specific age group or gender or whatever, you can work around all of that. I'm trying to find any area here where the CASA organization is not pretty darn easy to get along with.
We try to keep it as easy as possible. We also provide specific training for different age groups. So if we have a volunteer who wants to work with kiddos that are under the age of 3, we call them baby CASAs, and we have specific trainings throughout the year just for that age group. We also do specific trainings when it comes to our teenagers, ages 14 plus.
It's got to be a whole different set of challenges there.
It is. It's not only challenging dealing with a teenager, but then also preparing a child who doesn't have a support system to be an adult and to build that support system so that when they turn 18, they can be successful as an adult.
But I mean, truly, what an amazing opportunity to make a profound difference in the life of a kid. And you can do that through just volunteering, taking advantage of some of the training and other information that's provided through our local court-appointed special advocates program. Again, you can go online and find out more by visiting casaofgilacounty.org. You can contact Mariah Lance. Again, you're a court-appointed special advocate what's the term again I'm looking for?
Coordinator.
Coordinator. I was like organizer. No, that's not it. Was coordinator, right? So she coordinates all the CASA folks for up here, and we hope you'll give her a call at 474-7145. Mariah, really, thanks for what you do, because I mean, this is one of these areas that. I think a lot of people just choose not to, maybe pay attention because, that's sad. There's kids in need, and I got enough sadness. I don't want to look at that. But if it wasn't for you and other people like you, there's a lot of kids that would be having a heck of a lot tougher time than they're currently having. So thanks for what you do, and here's hoping we can find some more people like you.
Thank you.
You betcha. Thanks for coming in. Again, that website to find out more, look for casaofgilacounty.org or call the local 928 number, again, 474-7145. Now we got to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from the Dave Matthews Band, Jethro, Tull, Led Zeppelin, and even the Monkees. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
As for Payson and surrounding areas, I'm nowcast meteorologist Jim Vaughn. For today, mostly sunny skies and becoming breezy, high in the upper 60s. South winds become